maybe with a quick summary of what we did last time, until last time rather. I will also share my screen.
ನಾನು ಲಾಸ್ಟ್ ಟೈಮ್ ಅಟೆಂಡ್ ಆಗಿರಲಿಲ್ಲ, ಸೊ ಮೇ ಬಿ ಕ್ವಿಕ್ ಸಮರಿ ಲಾಸ್ಟ್ ಟೈಮ್, then we can proceed on that.
Sure. Okay, in the last section, what we did is we started going through sorry guys, just excuse me. Okay, so what we did is to understand this eightfold path purely the way Buddha presented it in his discourse, rather than going through any additional interpretations by any already well enlightened people or any gurus or any advanced people. So we said we will just take this Mahasatipatthana Sutta, where Buddha explained this eightfold path in a step-by-step process, and there is this Pali language to English language version of this Mahasatipatthana Sutta with this eightfold path explained. So we thought we will keep this as a reference and just read this English version alongside this Pali and reflect based on our own understanding here. And to do this, I kept this sheet what you folks are seeing on the screen, and then I also shared this thought that sometime back before I got exposed to Vipassana, this is 6-7 years back, I was trying to understand Patanjali's Yoga Sutras, especially Ashtanga Yoga, and I was also getting exposed to Buddha and his teachings at that point in time. And since I was living in US at that time, so I also thought I will do this comparative study of 10 commandments alongside Buddha's teachings and Patanjali Yoga Sutras. I had created this summary at that time just to see what kind of similarities are there, dissimilarities are there. And I found, as probably most of you already know, that there are quite a bit of similarity when it comes to this eightfold path on noble truths as compared to the yamas and niyamas and the 10 commandments. It is a brief summary. My initial, this is a partly done work. I had put this together to kind of start my journey, but later Vipassana and Goenkaji helped quite a bit in making further progress. And especially when we started this eightfold path discussion in these calls, we spent some time going through these 3 noble truths: suffering, existence, root cause of suffering, and the cessation of suffering as part of the first 3 noble truths, and the fourth one being the path to end this suffering, which is eightfold path. So we discussed quite a bit in the last 2, 3, or 4 calls now, and then in the last call we said, okay, we will use this specific Satipatthana Sutta guide to make our discussions. And this is where we looked at what does Buddha meant by right understanding, which is this understanding of this 4 noble truths, and then what is right thought, which is basically this. Okay, first of all, is my screen visible for you folks to read this content well? I'm just zooming in a bit.
Yeah.
Okay. So right understanding, as Buddha calls out in the Satipatthana Sutta, is simply this understanding of the noble truths. That is, suffering exists, and the knowledge of the arising of suffering, and the knowledge of cessation of suffering, and the path leading to it. This is what we discussed as part of this right understanding. Then, as part of the right thought, we discussed that the thoughts of renunciation, that is, thoughts of renouncing cravings and attachments, that is, thoughts that are free from aversion and thoughts that are free from violence, is what he terms as right thought. We discussed this. Then we also discussed what is right speech, which is abstaining from
violence. ಹೆಂಗ್ ಇಂಟರ್ಪ್ರೆಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರಿ ನೀವು? Violence ನ ಹೆಂಗ್ ಇಂಟರ್ಪ್ರೆಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಾ ನೀವು? I mean, when you say one of the points that came out was violence.
Correct.
Also closely attached to morality, violence also.
Correct.
So now, could you discuss more on that? What did Buddha mean by violence?
So there are interpretations. by Goenkaji as part of this Vipassana tradition or as part of this Burmese tradition. But what we felt is here violence is nothing but anything that we intentionally try to harm anyone or anything. If we are not doing it, at least at the thought level, we don't think of harming somebody, then it is free of violence, is the way we interpret it.
Because now, if I just draw a correlation between Gita and violence, so now there in Gita, Krishna says to Arjuna that you have to indulge in violence because that's your dharma. That becomes a moral thing.
See, the act may appear to be hurting somebody, but at the thought level, it is to cleanse the world, right? And make all the suffering beings come out of the suffering, isn't it? Because that's what Krishna says to Arjuna in some sense. That is, don't think you are killing somebody, rather, you are waging a dharma. You are waging a war of dharma.
It's the same interpretation.
Correct, correct, correct. It's a very similar interpretation here also. Only thing is, here Buddha explicitly calls out this thoughts of renunciation first, thoughts that are free from aversion next, and thoughts that are free from violence. All these three in the Pali language here on the left side, you will see he has called out. Okay, and then we also discussed what do we meant by what did Buddha meant by right speech? He calls out explicitly abstaining from lying, abstaining from slander and backbiting, abstaining from harsh words, and abstaining from frivolous talk as the right speech. So this also we discussed. And then we also looked at what is right action. Here we saw that Buddha meant right action means abstaining from killing, abstaining from taking what has not been given to you, and abstaining from sexual misconduct. Essentially, here again, this aspect is in terms of, especially we also spent some time talking about this abstaining from taking what has not been given. So this we interpreted as more of minimalism. Buddha's thought was don't indulge in accumulating or hoarding. And and in any case, this is quite evident when we look at many of the guidance Buddha called out as are the rules for monks for right living in the Vinaya Pitaka, which is kind of a set of guidelines for morality or the practice to establish the day-to-day living of monks. So we discussed that, at least based on whatever is our understanding. And then folks, by the way, did we discuss about this right livelihood? Yeah, I think we discussed this also. We discussed right livelihood to some extent, or did we not discuss? Sorry.
We started that discussion. We didn't complete it.
Okay. Okay, cool. So, okay, so then our intent was in today's conversation, we will talk about from this right livelihood onwards. So, but before I go there, any additional comments or thoughts by anyone about whatever we have covered, or Rajiv, Yogi, you have any questions or comments to make?
Nothing from my side. Yeah.
No, Manju.
I think this is clear also from whatever I have heard, that in terms of what was the last one, Manju? Before right livelihood, we said
right action.
Not
right action.
Right action. Not to take anything from anyone. Basically, not to hoard things. Not to hoard things.
Right.
Also, in a way, it talks about even if it is. See, this is where I get really confused, because see, most of these philosophical teachers talk about this, but then the talk itself gets into institutionalization, right? You get institutionalized, which means you get a lot of funds, and then either be Sri Sri or Buddha or any other for that matter, right?
Correct.
So, which means to say this is not, it doesn't get followed through. we always want to make an idea an institution. In all, that's a paradox of it, but okay, we will not discuss it now.
At least one thought here is, Rajiv, that's a very good point. I see a lot of these gurus who talk about doing very minimal things, but they end up establishing an organization with wheels and spokes, which keeps running, as you rightly said. But at least from Buddha's viewpoint, right, he explicitly said, there is no disciples for me. There is no organization that I am establishing. Is something that he explicitly called out.
Okay.
So he clearly said, I am not here to establish any religion because I won't be able to help you. It's something that he called out multiple times. You have to help yourself to come out of the suffering. Is something he called out explicitly multiple times in his teachings. So with maybe that thought, so we continue looking at this next one, which is right livelihood.
Yeah. So just a thought on what Rajiv mentioned from Bhagavad Gita. So sometimes what happens, many people they have interpreted ahimsa as said in Bhagavad Gita in many ways actually. So, but if we take it grossly, like even if you kill a mosquito, you are violating ahimsa. That is a very wrong way of looking at it. Because at the end of the day, Krishna is inspiring Arjuna to take up weapons and do the war, go into the battle with clear mind.
Correct.
So
Absolutely.
that comes into a direct conflict there. But what Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, when he says ahimsa means, if you look at the context, it's about the way of living. Way of living should be ahimsa way of living. Like for making a livelihood, you shouldn't be doing robbery, murder, all those things. So every day, if you kill a mosquito, see, these are all they were all non-vegetarians. Arjuna. So even the Jaimini Bharata says Krishna was also a non-vegetarian, not a non-vegetarian, not in the Western sense. So in the entire India, non-vegetarianism is just addition to the main meals, addition of meat to main meals. That's all. That meant. So it's not actually in the very crude sense of the word ahimsa.
Correct.
Ahimsa as a way of living. See, every day, if robbery is done, every day hafta wasool, all these things you are doing, that is himsa way of living. That's how it should be understood. Even I think there are no vegetarian Buddhists. No, all the 18 Buddhist branches, all 18 they have non-vegetarianism everywhere outside. If you see, China is like Chinese Buddhists are um, more violent in that way when it comes to cuisine compared to everyone else. So that gist and the spirit of what ahimsa meant, that needs to be understood. Is what I mean.
Correct. I think that's a good point. It's a really good point. So Ravi or Vijay, you have any additional comments to make to what Yogi just now shared? Okay. So then I think we are all on the same page there. Then maybe we will look at this right livelihood now. So here Buddha says, this paragraph that I'm going to highlight, and what monks is right livelihood. Here again, you will see that in Buddha's discourses, he seems to be explicitly calling out monks at many places, but he is basically talking to all the gathered people and who are seekers like us. he treats them as monks in his words, because almost all his discourses, there used to be people who are full-time monks and also part-time monks like us, people who are sincerely trying to seek and understand and come out of our suffering. So this is where he uses this word monks, and he explains what is right livelihood here, which is a noble disciple, having given up wrong ways of livelihood, earns his livelihood by right means. This monks is called right livelihood. So he puts it very simple. So wrong ways of livelihood, who has given up and earns his livelihood by right means. That's it. That is right way of living. So I think, yeah, this also we discussed with a little bit last time, where he was saying, I mean, all of us, especially in our role as householders, need to earn money. And again, the way we earn our money, it is to take care of the family and the society. And what we do, or what we indulge in, it should not promote, it should not be in direct violation of um, this other thoughts that are already discussed here. It is, if you are earning money by killing somebody, or if you are earning money by harming somebody. I mean, I think Rajiv or Yogi called out, that is, we are doing hafta vasool. That probably is a wrong way of livelihood. And if you are, let's say, earning money by cheating people or stealing from somebody, that is also a wrong way of earning livelihood. At least that is the way we had a little bit of conversation. At least that is the way I look at this livelihood. So Ravi, would you like to add anything further from your viewpoint here?
Nothing, Manju. We discussed this actually last week. Also, we started this point, and I think I'm in line with what you said.
What about greedy, right? I mean, see, it is not only about when you say right livelihood, it's not about not hurting someone and those kind of things. But normally it doesn't happen. But again, the basic thing here is a craving for more, right? So, which means to say we tend to hoard things here. Let me have 2 houses. Let me have 2 cars. So, in a way, this aspect is also very important, right?
Absolutely. I think the point here is probably, if you look at the earlier points, what is called by Buddha and his here, that hoarding is something which is based on the ground of craving or aversion, is something that he is explicitly calling out to avoid. Yeah, I mean, I think at least the way I interpret and try to live now is, anything that is given to me as resources, it is not for my selfish indulgence in craving and aversion. It is to sustain life and also give or share with others, to maybe reduce suffering to the extent possible to people around me, be it my family members or be it anyone I come in touch with.
No, but what I'm trying to say is right livelihood means what? Because when I look at right livelihood, it is also a way of experiencing that life. What I mean by that is, see, we may not hoard for generations, but we tend to hoard for a lifetime also.
Correct.
Correct. Which means to say, a sense of security gets built in, that I have this much amount of money for the rest of my life.
To do
When
what?
that sense
That
of
is the key thing.
to lead
To
my
do what?
life.
To lead my life, or to lead my
Yes.
life with lot of cravings and indulging in lot of additional extra activities.
Whatever it is, you see, lot of cravings is subjective again.
Correct. Correct.
Yeah. For some people, cravings could be going to foreign countries. For some people, cravings should be managing their life in Bangalore itself. Okay, but the point here is the sense of security that something gives, right? I think if that sense of security is still there, we may not be able to experience the life to the fullest. So, which means to say, what happens next moment should should be left to the next moment itself. Till that point in time, what I experience is that we always get into this false trap of security that we ourselves are surrounded with, and then therefore we never be able to meet that existence. So it is that's where I was still thinking about right livelihood, because we tend to think that okay, as long as I don't hurt anyone, as long as I don't have that extra cravings, I make my life secure to whatever need I want, I'm done. But I don't think that also will cease suffering unless and until I think what Buddha called out maybe was not Buddha, maybe some of the other acharyas that I felt was, you hold a bag, go for bhiksha. If you get something, eat. If you don't get something, it's okay. Which means to say you're just in the flow there. So is right livelihood. Otherwise, it gave me a lot of comfort zone. Like, yeah.
So actually, there is a work of Madhvacharya giving guidelines for sannyasis. Nyasa Paddhati is the work. There he says those words actually. 3 pancha sapta sadmani gachet natah param rajet, means you go to 3 houses for alms, for having food. If you have more disciples, go to 5 houses. Still, it is not enough. You go to 7 houses. Don't go further because there are other bhikshus like you.
Right.
They also want to find food and livelihood. So manage within 7 houses for all the needs of yourself and your disciples. That is the guideline given. Just
Yeah,
remember when Raju mentioned it.
Yeah, that's a good call out, Yogi. In fact, even Buddha has a very similar kind of guidelines for monks. See, this whole teaching of Buddha is called Tipitaka. It is kind of summarized in this books of collections called Tipitaka, which is basically 3 big books or 3 baskets of his teachings. One of them is called Vinaya Pitaka, which is containing a lot of similar thoughts what you just now shared to monks, what they should do, what they should not do, and how to live, and even for the householders there. And then the second one is this Sutta Pitaka, where all his discourses are collected, including this Mahasatipatthana Sutta. Some 35,000-40,000 suttas are there in that Sutta Pitaka. And the most important one being this Mahasatipatthana Sutta, at least from our viewpoint, because it is direct path of realization. And the third one is this Abhidhamma, which is the philosophical collection of his teaching in its purest form. So now that Vinaya Pitaka has very similar thought, what you just now said, because I had read an essence of this Tipitaka from one of these Burmese monks. So I remember seeing very similar to what you said, even being called out there.
I think it should be there.
Yeah.
Because if it doesn't happen, then I think it is must, Manju. You see, if we have something to eat for the next 1 month also, I think we live in that comfort. I don't think we will ever experience that sort of the flow of existence, what I always call, right? It doesn't happen. It will always be must. And then it is that sort of a living which I could somehow visualize. Why people were able to reach their full potential, because they never thought that they were doing it.
Correct. I think at the end of the day, that monkhood probably is the purest way of living the teaching. But I think the fact also is, as householders, we might end up diluting it, but we can still adopt it to the maximum extent possible.
Correct.
Yeah. So the Haridasas, no, the Haridasa guideline that you shouldn't be saving anything for the next day. So next morning you go again for bhiksha. So today whatever you have for your needs, utilize it. If you have more, distribute it. That's how they lived actually. So it's very, very idealistic for us even to hear. So I can't even imagine how we can do it.
So my interpretation, yeah, my interpretation about right livelihood here is again related to do what you can do from best of your ability, but then abstain from having lot many cravings. First, the very first thought itself says, let us not think too much, abstain from major, luxuries, but what is that you want? For your needs, you have to work, and you have to work the right way and earn it. So that is how I interpreted it, based on all the discussions here.
I think that is probably the good summary there, Vijay, to take it forward. Okay, so then shall we go to this next one, which is right effort? Because so the interesting bit about this eightfold path is until this right livelihood, it was more of the morality elements. Now comes um, the what is it, meditation related elements, so to speak. With this right effort, right awareness, and right concentration, the next three things in this eightfold path are the next three folds of the path. So let me read this for you folks slowly, and then let's see how we can interpret this. So what monks is right effort? He says, here monks, a monk generates the will to prevent the arising of unarisen, evil, unwholesome mental states. First thing, that is, the monk is generating the will to prevent the arising of unarisen, evil, unwholesome mental states. And to do this, he makes strong effort, stirs up his energy, applies his mind to it, and strives. There are actually four explicit callouts here. This is the first one. Okay, that is, prevent the arising of unarisen, evil, unwholesome mental states. And then second callout is to eradicate those evil, unwholesome mental states that have arisen in him. So he generates the will, makes strong effort, stirs up his energy, applies his mind to it, and strives. So the second callout is, if you can't prevent, let's say they have already arisen, see what you can do to eradicate them, this evil, unwholesome mental states. And the third callout is, assuming you have eradicated this unwholesome mental states, work towards to develop wholesome mental states that have not yet arisen in him. He generates will, makes a strong effort, stirs up his energy, applies his mind to it, and strives. So the third callout is developing wholesome mental states that are yet to arise. Then the fourth one is, assuming those wholesome mental states have arisen, work towards maintaining wholesome mental states that have arisen in him, not to let them fade away. So not to let them fade away, to multiply them and bring them to full maturity and to full development. He generates will, makes strong effort, stirs up his energy, applies his mind to it, and strives. So this monks is called right effort. So here the right effort has four callouts to summarize: to prevent the arising of unarisen, evil, unwholesome mental states, and if they have already arisen, then work towards eradicating them, and then work to develop wholesome mental states, and whichever wholesome mental states have arisen, see how if you can maintain them for as much longer as possible, and see whether you can attempt multiplying them and bring them to full maturity and to full development. That's what he calls as right effort here. So let me pause. Thoughts, questions, comments?
Lot of, but I'll hold on.
Yeah. So this is, yeah, at least if I could make a quick comment here, maybe others can also add up. See here, this could be, this would seem in violation of that nothing practice that we have been discussing, right? Here, there is so much of doing. There is so much of focus on sustaining certain mental state and not going to the state of things are happening by itself already here. He is explicitly asking or suggesting to focus on generating wholesome mental states and look to multiply it and get rid of any unwholesome mental states explicitly here, right? So, and he explicitly calls out that you need to put in effort to reach there. So this is where Vijay, when you made that comment during the beginning of today's call, right? Of you are able to observe, you are able to see that there are
Yeah,
a lot of unwholesome states
correct.
or unwholesome thoughts coming in. So
Slowly
that
I'm
is
relating to it. Yes.
exactly. So at least for me also the experience has been that over last 2-3 years, my journey also has been going through that similar thing. The state that Ravi describes of nothingness, letting things happen, it seems like a point that I still need to reach. But at least I'm able to see the journey towards it. And the journey now no longer is in that autopilot mode of circles of cravings and aversions. I'm quite conscious. At least I'm able to see I can put that distance, kind of watching the movie of my own life in as the things keep unfolding to an extent. Okay, anyways, so let's come back to this. So this wholesome mental states, that's what he's suggesting.
So
Let me
basically,
pause.
our
Thoughts?
intention should be here is be good, do good. First of all. So by being good or by being good, the thought should be very good. But if you still feel that there is some negative thought, some thought that might harm somebody, so it has arisen. So you have to generate the will to, bring out a different thought to, counter this particular bad thought and see that this doesn't arise. So that is the second point. Right. Some first thing, don't think bad, but even if the bad thought occurs, you will have to develop a stronger good thought so that this bad thought is, call it, suppressed or goes away, so that at the end of the day you're not harming that person because of that the bad thought. The first two, that is how I interpret it. The third one is always, develop better thoughts to see how you can do not only good for yourself but to the people around you, and then be in that state forever. Try to be in that state forever. That is the fourth call out. Something that like that I interpret it. Yeah, Rajiv, you were saying something. You wanted to hold up.
No, this the summary of my experience is that uh, the effort and the target itself is a barrier. So the more you think of target and more you think of putting an effort there to reach that target, I think it will lead you to more cycles of uh, without moving up, if I could call that. So somehow I'm not able to correlate at all either with my experience. When I've not put in effort, when I've not put any target, life has been more towards happiness. When I put in the effort and put a target, life has been more miserable. This is my experience.
Yeah. But you're in right space. See, putting an effort and again going through the drill. I think whether you reach the goal or not, at least it will help cleanse your current state of unwholesome thoughts, right? So basically, whether knowingly or unknowingly, you're still striving to be a better version of yourself in those multiple thought processes. I think that is the need of the hour in the right effort. Also, indirectly, it is calling. Maybe that is one
Nowadays,
interpretation.
these words itself are very create anxiety in me. Striving, effort.
Correct. Correct.
So you're at
Somehow
a
it
constant
leads,
fight with yourself, right? You're constant fight with your inner self.
don't
Is
know.
that?
I'm not.
Oh, it's not
No,
that
what
one.
I'm
Okay.
trying. Yeah, see, when I'm in constant fight with myself, I am expecting something out of myself. Otherwise, why would I fight?
Hmm.
See, I think Rajiv, okay, maybe others can also chip in. My interpretation, okay. Again, when I was going through Bhagavad Gita, the chapter 13, Kshetra Kshetragni Yoga, that battleground within ourselves is inevitable. I don't think there is escape from it in the path of spiritual journey. One has to go through that battleground to reach a state what you are calling, to realize that everything is futile, and that journey is not going to happen just because we understand intellectually. One has to still go through that journey. That is where Buddha explicitly calls out in this sutta what you just now called out as right effort, and little later in the same sutta, right, he talks about this, that whoever is practicing this technique will get the result over a period of time, and that period of time, he says, one may achieve the fruit of this practice over 7 years, or one may be able to achieve it in 6 years or 5 years or 4 years, blah 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 blah, and one may achieve it even in 1 day. He goes all the way that way. Only thing is, no one knows, including Buddha, that how much far away the person is from that highest state of living, what we can intellectually understand. And that journey requires you doing what you need to do to practice
No,
this.
Manju, see,
Yeah.
this is where I have one difference. Okay,
Hmm.
the point where I start,
Hmm.
for lack of better word, I use I.
Hmm.
The point where I start is I do not do anything, something happens through me. This is where I start, which means to say whether.
No, I disagree. I think you
Yeah.
reached this point after struggling through it for so much time.
No,
now you are at that point.
see, this is where three things come into picture, right? One is listening to the scriptures. The second is you correlating those with your life experiences and then discussing.
Correct.
And third one is instigating into life.
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
Now, some of the experiences in life, see, just because you read certain things, just because you listen to certain people, a certain feeling that, I mean, you can take it, but you will not, it's very hard to instill that feeling. So in my case, life experiences are my best judges. Okay. I always had this intuition that life is not under my control, looking at various things.
Correct.
And the scriptures reading and discussing only enhance that, because it is my experience.
Correct.
So putting in effort now.
Correct.
The question is again, who puts an effort? And if you put an effort, will it not strengthen the ego again? Because I reached there.
That is the point, right? This ignorance or the delusion of the world is what one needs to overcome. To understand there is nothing to overcome. Until we do that, it's a classic paradox. This is my way of looking at it. This is such a classic paradox. Nirvana is not there somewhere at the top of Kailasha.
Perfect.
It is right,
perfect.
Right here.
Right next.
It is just
right there. Right there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
The beauty is this ignorance makes us go in circles everywhere. And unless we go in that circle, we don't even realize that our search was futile. because that ignorance layers is so embedded for us. Fortunately, unfortunately, whoever has been running
I
this
understand.
yeah.
I understand that, Manju, but when you say
Huh.
put an effort to reach
Correct.
that target,
Correct.
what I'm not able to get is practicality. How do I put an effort? For example, simple example is I sit for meditation. Okay. Unwholesome, evil thoughts come into my mind. What is expected? What effort should I put to eradicate it?
To not do anything. See, that itself is an effort,
How
right?
is possible?
That itself is an effort.
Not
See,
possible. No, it is not possible. Try it.
exactly.
Please try it.
Exactly. That is exactly what my point too.
Yeah,
See,
you have to put in the extra effort to control yourself for that negative thought.
yeah. So we can play
Something
with the
similar.
words. So we
Yeah.
can certainly play with the words. But
Yeah.
the fact is, doing nothing, or rather, in a pure, just mere awareness or a mere observation state, it requires a lot of effort. Because we are so tuned across our lifetimes, probably. I mean, if you all believe in multiple lives, then I would safely say all of us have built this habit pattern of doing something or the other every single damn moment. So it's
Correct. I
so
agree with you.
hard to break that pattern for us.
Exactly. Restraining ourselves with self-control is the biggest effort that we will be putting. We are still not, I mean, at least for myself, I have not yet mastered that. It's not even that, I'll not even call mastery. I can perfectly, even as on today, I still don't have the control on myself.
So, Raja, your point is valid. It is, why don't we eat directly like this? When take the food and put it into mouth, it's as simple as that. But no, all of us are running in the world, taking food from one different corner, trying to take it all around and then eat. So that is the beauty of ignorance, I think. Maybe Ravi has been keeping very quiet. Let's see what Ravi also thinks.
I'm just listening. Actually, see, my view is this. Okay. Again, I'll come from the end in mind. End in mind is there is no entity who is responsible for doing something. There is mind, there is body, there is sensations, and there is all these activities goes on by the triggers and by its own nature. Now, the mind itself has two parts to it. One is the ignorant part. One is the part which is realized part of it. Okay, realization is not a one day. It's not a one time and it's done forever. There are moments of realization. There are moments of ignorance. Okay, in all our cases, moment ignorance is more and realization is less. Okay, so mind goes through this transformation where some places where it believes that it's putting effort. Okay, in some places it believes that it's happening, and this whatever eightfold path we are talking about, this is there are there are two in this, right? One is the external part of it. For example, right speech, right thought, right livelihood, all those things are talking about something related to the external world. For example, don't hurt others, don't snatch from others. Okay, this is one part of it, and if you go slowly you see that it goes towards internal part of it.
Correct.
Internal part is which is something happening. Okay, for example, if mind goes through that form, it's not that we do those things. It's not that I'm putting effort somewhere. What happens is when the ignorance is more, mind sees that it has to put something. Okay, and that's the phase we go through, and go through that and finally realize that there's nothing to put. It doesn't mean you have to start from putting effort. You have to start from what we are comfortable with. If we are comfortable with a state of no effort to be put, be there. Okay, and maybe because of whatever janmas or whatever it is, maybe we are in some state. Okay, I'm not judging saying that something is better than other, I'm not saying that, but some state where if we feel we are comfortable without putting any effort, just being doing nothing, just doing nothing, and we see things happening. If we are in that state, so be it. Suppose we are in a state where you are still strongly feeling that we want to do something, we have to do something. We are in that state, which means say the I part is more strong there. Whenever I part is more strong there, I want to do something and I will exist in future in a better form. Okay. This is definitely, as per the scripture, this is an ignorance. And we have to go through that ignorance. If we are already in a state that I don't need anything, I don't want to become anything, I just want to be now, here and now, we have to be it. It's not like which is right or wrong. I don't know whether we can arrive at it. Rather, it is one phase to another phase, which transition happens by itself. Even uh, doing or not doing is not in our hands. Only thing is, at this point in time, we are sitting and doing nothing. Maybe that was not possible. Maybe few years back or few generations back. So, if somebody feels, if Rajiv feels, I don't have to do anything, I don't have to become anything, that's actually good. uh, don't do anything, just be and observe and see things happening, and that will transform by itself. If somebody strongly feels that very doing nothing agitates them, okay, feels that if they're feeling that they may miss out something, if they're feeling that they are wasting time, if they're feeling that they're doing something wrong by not doing and sitting and doing nothing, let that brain, let that mind work and let it do something as per what is given in the scripture, which is nothing but maybe helping someone or donating something, all those things. But end of the day, what I have seen is none of the moral acts will take you to non-suffering. Okay, I have seen people who have renounced everything and still suffering. Okay, I have my cousin who left everything when he was 23, 24. He is an MTech graduate, and then he left everything and went to Ramakrishna Ashrama for a few years. Then he went to different places, and finally he is in Uttarakhand. He's just like a Swami is living, but he has all the problems on the earth. Okay, he has very high BP, and he looks 20 years older than what his actual age is. He's physically weak, all those things, and I think he is undergoing that pain, right? It doesn't mean he has BP and he's smiling inside. I don't think that is the state when I at least look at him. But he doesn't hold anything. He doesn't have even a single rupee of his own. He doesn't have anything. So this, I think many people think that leaving something and going will give them peace, but I don't think so. Or many people think that donating something, helping someone will eradicate the suffering. I don't think that is also true. What is finally true is all this is mind's game, and we being detached from that, right? Finally it comes to nirvana shatakam, saying that finally I'm not all these things. Even the mind which is thinking of donating is not me. Mind which is thinking of holding something or greedy mind is also not me. Even the mind which is rebelated is also not me. I think that is the final state which we have to go to. That happens by its own flow. So summary is, effort, if somebody is really feeling that doing nothing is waste of something, waste of life, and something has to be done, please do it. If people who are in a state where they can relax and just watch things happening, let them watch it. We are only, so what the scriptures are giving is different phase of mind. It's not a doer going through doing different things. It is the mind which is going through different phases, and that's what it has to go through that phase. For example, if Ganga takes birth in Himalayas and then reaches Bay of Bengal, it has to go through whatever Kanpur, Nagpur, not Nagpur actually, whatever Uttarakhand, blah blah blah, blah, all those things. So it is not that that river is running. The flow is happening. Similarly, mind goes through the flow of doership to non-doership, irrespective of whether we think we are doing or not. So each one at different state is what I feel.
Counter.
I pause.
One counter.
What's that?
If I may, Manju, or you want to?
No. Please go ahead.
No, see, the two different phases of what Ravi called out. If you don't want to do something, it's fine. If you do not want to do something, it's fine. See, again, what is the goal is end of suffering, correct?
Correct.
So now, with this in mind, doing something, that too saying that you put an effort to do something, will not take you to that goal. Which means to say, either the mind or the body or the thought that comes in that I have to put in effort is not in line to attain that goal, which means to say there has to be a sort of a knowledge built in there. Now, again, we can go back to the same loop and say whether we can accumulate that mind can get to that knowledge or not, let the flow take over and those kind of things. But an effort to do something, that too saying that the mind or the body should put an effort to do something, to me at this point looks like would take one in the reverse direction, because everything around us seems to happen on its own, right from what we observe from the sunset to sunrise to the way we eat the food, and all these things seems to happen on its own, and there's no reason why not to believe that all other things also happen on its own. So that would live more of a that would give more of a liberative freedom, eventually happiness, which could take us to the end of suffering, and not the other way around. So in my opinion, both are not the same.
Correct. You clearly said, Rajiv. See, that's exactly why Jiddu Krishnamurti keeps telling there is no technique. Okay, the very doing of something and having it as a technique takes you in the reverse direction. What is reverse direction here is strengthening of ego. Okay, if I have to do something, means I should exist strongly and my willpower should be there, which means to say the very willpower is a reverse direction. Okay, uh, I completely agree with it. Only thing is, sometimes only through that we end up realizing that it's not, I mean, that's a reverse direction. That's the only choice they have. People who are in that state of thinking that strong ego which is there, which thinks that we have to do and achieve something, and who are not in a position to agree that things happen by itself, and they have to do something, which is some school of thought is there, right, where I exist, I as an individual exist, then they will end up doing it. There is no option, because in theory they are not agreeing. The theory of non-self, they are not agreeing, and only option is to do something. So that's where scriptures, what they believe in, helps. See, some people, if you believe in this school, we can start with that. If you believe in a school of thought where you strongly exist and you are responsible for life, you end up doing. Your current nature would choose it. What is your closer to your belief, and it will do it. But what we all believed is, since Buddha tried all these things, and finally, it's like instead of reinventing the wheel, learn from others' mistakes. Okay, so somehow we have attached to this philosophy, where it says finally you don't exist as a separate entity. You are part of whole thing, and we are starting from there. Suppose I believe in all these motivational speakers are there, right? Who shouts on the stage and say, come on, wake up at 4 o'clock and all those things. And if I'm in that state, I will do it. Even if somebody says, don't do it, I don't agree with it. And I end up doing it. Where things have gone wrong is, see, Tamoguna and Sattva-guna appear same from outside. But internally, there's a huge difference. Tamoguna people also just sit idle. Sattva-guna people also sit idle. Rajoguna people keep running. So, Tamanguna people sit idle and just fantasize something and all those things. So it depends on where we are. What happened, I think, in our culture, because of this non-self and non-doing approach, or Advaita approach, where people thought, I am God, let me do whatever I want, whatever I do is right. All those people misuse, right? So people have misused it, and finally our country became a lazy country. That's when this transformation came, where you have to do something, you have to pray something, you have to achieve something, you have to donate something, you have to do things for people around us that wake them up. Okay, and only after waking up and running, which is nothing but Rajaguna, finally we realize that we are tired. Now let me sit idle, is the phase we have to go through.
I think that is where this next two folds also will play a major role, based on what both of you described over last few minutes, awareness and concentration. But I think we will come to this in the next session. I don't think we will have time to do this. But let's see, Yogi or Vijay, you folks have anything further to add to what both Rajiv and Ravi just now shared?
Yeah, so yeah, for the right effort, so we should put in an effort to do nothing is what I understood. In the sense, just as a
No, putting
metaphor.
sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, go ahead.
See, putting an effort to do nothing is not what I'm saying.
Not the interpretation. Okay.
Whatever. It's, see, you can't put effort to do nothing. Okay. Only thing is, you put effort in whatever way you want and observe it. Okay. If for example, you are trying to say control, negative thoughts and build positive thoughts.
Correct.
And continue to doing it. Okay, there is
Sure.
It's not a wrong direction. You continue to do it, but only thing is at regular checkpoint, see if anything has improved.
Correct.
Has
Realize
negative
it.
thoughts ended, or is suffering ended? You need to observe that. If it is not, you change the course of action. Not that you change the course of action. You yourself get tired, and then you say, enough, let me stop, let me accept it. Okay, that acceptance comes by itself. Yeah,
but let me still go through those internal struggle.
Exactly.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
You will, and we will. Yeah.
Okay.
See, just one analogy of the day-to-day life I'll give you. Just happened recently. Both Ravi and I were present, and I was the observer there. Just an analogy. We had a meeting with one of the colleagues in Germany. Okay. We were supposed to tell them about what is TDD and BDD is. There was a 10-minute introductory session from Ravi on what is TDD and BDD. There was no PPT. Okay. The way I would not use the word Ravi told, but the way it came out of Ravi, whatever it is, it came out of Ravi, was just a flow. It for the people, external people who listened to it, it was such a melody filled with technical stuff, clearly understandable. I don't even know whether Ravi realized it or not. So I got no reason to believe that he had put an effort to prepare for this, or something he had prepared in mind, or something like that.
True. See, whatever my life journey, I always felt none of it is my effort. Okay. I did, and also none of it I dreamt of. People say, no, dream of something, and one day you will reach there. All I wanted was a bank job for 3,000 rupees when I was a kid. Okay, that's what I was dreaming of. But finally, what I ended up is totally different. Okay, that is because a few more zeros, exactly. That is one thing. And second thing is the nature of work, right? See, one stage of my life, any public speaking, if they ask me to say talk to team or something, I used to run away. In the sense, I used to bunk that day, saying that I'm not well, all those things. That is the state I was in. Okay. But I don't know, it transformed to this, where I don't stop talking. I don't know what made me like that. I don't think I have put conscious effort saying that, let me try public speaking, let me study these things. None of it I did. But somehow my nature took me there, is what I strongly believe. Even now I believe that.
Good points. Good points. So, Yogi, do you have any comment to make before we close for today? Revisit the next two
Yeah,
in the next call.
Manju, so this is something new for me. So I'm taking time to digest
Sure.
or allowing it to digest.
Good one, Yogi.
Good one, Yogi.
Yeah, yeah. I think that is the beauty of this association. All of us can see each other struggle, and then realize, oh, okay, so this is the way flow happens. So I think Buddha will also take us there along with all of us. Then maybe we will break for today
Yeah.
here.
So I'll stop recording. Yeah.
Yeah, and then we will come back to the last two folds in the next conversation because